Okay, and we are recording in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, this is Mr. Haig. How you doing? We are back here, Truth Seeking Souls, and I'm disappointed in our nation. I'm disappointed in our politics. I'm disappointed in the history of America as we had described it, as been taught to me. I mean, I was first told that Columbus discovered America. And yesterday I've been reading this book. It's called A People's History of the United States. I highly recommend it. It's by an author by the name of Howard Zinn, I believe. Howard Zinn, Z-I-N-N. And the first chapter about the way Columbus treated the Aborigines, the natives, it was beyond appalling, beyond my consciousness, how somebody could have a soul like that causes so much pain, so much death and destruction to people who at first wanted to help them. And we name a holiday after this idiot? I'm telling you.
What about, didn't Americus Vespucci, wasn't he the actual person that first, that's why America was named America? Because Americus Vespucci landed on the shores of America long before.
Yeah, and we have Jan here, and I'd like you to comment on that, about consciousness of the whole nation.
All right, first of all, what you have to understand is that we human beings follow vibration and energy, all right? And I'm going to give you information that came from Gary a little bit later, which will confirm a lot of this. But there is a vibration around everything. So we have North America, which Native Americans have come across back when we had a connection with all the continents. When we had Atlantis and we had Lemuria, you could walk from continent to continent. There wasn't an ocean in between, okay? When they fell, we ended up with oceans in between the East and the West. But before that, that wasn't true. So in that process, we had indigenous people coming down through Alaska and Canada into the United States and settled here. And indigenous people believe that land is a mother. It is sacred. It's not to be misused. So they always leave behind where they've been. When they move for better hunting grounds, they leave behind the area as they found it. They don't damage it, all right? And they revere animals that give their life. So they respect life in all of its forms. Now, what happened? The vibration around not only Columbus, but Cortez, who came up through Mexico and also did all kinds of damage. So here we have beings coming in from Europe that are taking land, putting fences around it, and pushing the only true non-immigrants in the United States are Native Americans. The rest of us are all immigrants, okay? So what is the vibration now around the United States? Take, destroy, right? All right, so now we have pilgrims coming here who want to have freedom from religious persecution, okay? So here we have another sector here. We have the takers, the destroyers over here. Now we have the freedom lovers over here, trying to come here to create a world that is free from persecution and rules that were given to them in places like England. All right? Now we have criminals being released, sent here, because after all, they don't want the criminals there doing harm. So we'll send them to America and let them figure it out there. So let's look at the vibration of the United States. Take away from the natives and destroy, all right? Those who love religious freedom, who come here to create a free way, which is what democracy is about, all right? And then we have the criminals, the crime lords, all right? So if you look at the United States today, you're going to see all three of those factions living themselves out, all right? We have a government that wants to take all the forests and dismantle them, go back to using oil, forget about electrical, forget about saving the planet, right? We have the highest crime rate of anywhere because we were founded with criminals. So, of course, we have all these, we have more guns than any other country. And then we also have those who still seek religious freedom, why the forefathers created democracy to try to create freedom, but yet they were creating freedom for Europeans. They weren't creating it for the world. It was for the white man who came here, correct? Primarily for the white man.
I was surmised to say that that this continent was meant for brown people.
Of course it was.
There was an invasion.
It belonged to brown people. It belonged to brown people. But if you look at all these factions, all right, so all of this is coming to a gigantic head. And so what is it asking of the people? We were never taught true history. They took pieces of history that taught us in school. We didn't get the real lowdown of what really happened. Just read about the Path of Tears through Oklahoma with the Cherokee Indians, if you want to talk about a devastating happening. All right, there is so many travesties that have occurred here. The United States is the biggest experimental ground in the world, quite frankly.
How do you say?
Everything gets to live out here, and that's why it's so continental in that it has all races, all nationalities, all religion. Everything is here. It's not a country made up of a sect of people like Scandinavia is, let's say, or even how India is. It's made up of it's cosmopolitan in all nationalities, and yet now we have money and power and dictatorship trying to take over here. All right, and in dictatorship, dictators connect to other dictators, and they're takers. Dictators have no desire to help out anybody. They're takers. So, what has to happen now? Believe it or not, Jim, it is in every single person's hands right now to care. And look what's happening in those towns where people are standing up for that person that got taken through the immigration services and ICE.
It just seems like this nation has a history of white versus brown. I mean, and then white versus black. We enslaved black people. During Columbus, I mean, he obviously attacked and killed and murdered a lot of colored people in the Aborigines, and it's still happening today.
It's Africans, not Aborigines anymore. It's Africans.
I'm talking about
actually, but in Africa, now let's go back to Africa. In Africa, let's look at the theme around Africa. Africa stole from each other's tribes for slavery. Yeah. Did you know that?
Yes.
So Africa was very heavy in their own slavery before these Europeans came along and enslaved them to come and work in the cotton fields here in the United States. So slavery has, and yeah, Hitler hurt the Jews, but look what Israel's doing now to Palestinians.
Yeah.
All right. So all of this, remember, how would I put this? The United States of America and human experience, we come here to experience everything from good, bad, everything in order to enhance our soul, to go to the depths of who are we as a person and how do we follow that truth and how do we care about our brothers and sisters. And we are supposed to be colorblind because we are all the same inside, quite frankly. We are all beings created and fashioned from the same source. We're all fashioned of love and light, every one of us. And we all should be colorblind, culture blind, and religion blind to one another. So that's the quest. That's the quest.
But then why make this monster, this Columbus guy, why make him a hero? Clearly he wasn't. He didn't.
Well, Trump, well, they think Trump's a hero. They think Trump's Christ. He's the son of God, okay?
He was sent by God.
Yeah. He's sent here by God, okay? Because you have a lot of people who can be easily influenced, all right? Easily influenced. And we have, well, actually, a lot of our heroes did things that, if you go back and look at almost any hero, look at all our presidents, they didn't just do good things. Oh, they did things that weren't so good also, all right?
Even Obama.
Of course, every single one of them, all right? White, black, orange, green, doesn't matter, all right? To get to where they are required a lot of sacrifice and doing things they didn't want to do or they did want to do. However, I still bring it back to human consciousness on an individual level. All right, when I spoke with Gary today, he said, understand something. Me being on the other side of the veil doesn't mean I know it all, because I'm in a dimension that I'm naturally acclimated to. It's like you being on Hawaii because you're acclimated to the climate there. All right. So there's all kinds of dimensions here. But he said the real truth about Earth is you come there for the sense pleasures that you get to have in a limited reality, because you're in a very limited reality there. Isn't that interesting? Your reality is extremely limited, and you're there to advance your soul. And the way you advance your soul is doing something for others.
For those of you who don't know, Gary is Jan's late husband.
Yeah, who's on the other side.
On the other
Of
side.
the veil.
So when she refers to Gary, it's what she just said. So he's basically saying that we are here to get sense pleasures, and because that doesn't exist where he's at.
That's right. There is, when you're out of body, you don't deal with sense pleasures. All right. And growing the soul on the other side is far slower. Much, much slower, because you're only presented with bliss and goodness. You don't have any contrast there. Follow that? Mm-hmm. Sometimes being in a place like Earth, where you're in a limited reality, in a physical form, so you're here trying to take care of a body, you're trying to take care of emotions, you don't have you have knowings over there that feel like emotions, but they're not like emotions that we have here in a physical form. All right? So we're placed in this war zone, and we try to find the depths of goodness in the midst of a war zone. All right? That's really what it's about. And the way you change things is yourself. Meditation, one of the beautiful things that our societies like Hinduism have taught us, is how powerful meditation is. Meditation virtually allows the human body to reach out with that energy and reduce crime by 50% in cities. In cities where people meditate, they reduce crime. So one thing that you could do to kind of balance out the energies where you live is meditate. Mm-hmm. All right? Powerful, powerful force to meditate. So then without force and without rage and without violence, step into how you individually can make a difference. What can you do? All right, in the society that you're in, what faction are you drawn to where you can make a difference? Go there. Speak up, and speak up to truth. Truth Seeking Soul is a perfect name for your show, because this is what we're about now, to speak truth to power. No more illusions. One of the things I think is a good thing that's happening in your state is Gavin Newsom saying it's not just that a politician has a right to sue a network who lies constantly to the people. Mm-hmm. I'm suing them too for lying about me, to help the world see what deception Fox News is doing on a society that listens to it. Okay? So one of the things that each person could do, Jim, is stop watching propaganda.
Oh, yeah. I can't watch that anymore.
Stop participating in propaganda. All right?
I just have a certain amount of podcasts that I listen to. But as far as the mainstream media, for whether it's CNN or MSNBC and I don't think I even know what Fox looks like. I don't go there.
I don't either. Yeah. I listen to Tom Hartman once in a while because he'll correct himself if he says anything that's not true, and he double checks everything. And his wife writes the most amazing songs that are so truth telling. You got to listen to some of these songs; they're priceless. Anyway, it's and that is actually paid for broadcasting. That's not owned by a giant network, all right? Because that's community broadcasting, and so that is people paying for it. And anyway, and it's critical, because what happens is this: when you have people who are just passing, it reminds you of the game of gossip we played as kids, where somebody whispered something in somebody's ear. When it comes back all the way around the circle, it's not discernible. All right. Well, that's what all this deceitful propaganda is. And that's what it is. But remember, Jim, we're at a time of massive change on this planet. And unfortunately, the way the human creation was created is we don't just go, oh, everything's so wonderful, so I think I'll just move into change. That sounds wonderful. No, no. It's the thorns in the side that don't work anymore is what causes us to lift up and move forward and create change. All right? And I can use this like a metaphor. I'm using a little metaphor for myself. I've been going to my living room every day looking at this rug that's only 6 months old, but because there's a big dog that lives in this house and a little dog that lives in this house, this rug is just a wreck, all right? And it irritates me every single morning. I was irritated. So yesterday I went into Ross, and I love blue, and I saw this beautiful blue rug in there, and I threw it over my shoulder, crammed it in the car, got home, took that old rug out of here, laid out my new blue rug, and all of a sudden, my whole attitude changed. And I got up this morning, and I had a whole new attitude. I went, change is a good thing. Sometimes it's absolutely necessary.
Change is a good thing, for sure.
And sometimes it's the simple things. But yes, our history of the United States of America, but actually, if you go back in time and look at the history of almost every country, and you're going to find tons of violence, Jim. All kinds of violence.
Oh, yeah.
In those countries. So this is a place where we have 50% day and 50% night. So good gets to reign here, but so does the absence of light get to reign here. We get to experience both sides of that coin in order for us to move more into the depths of our being. And that's how we advance our soul, quite frankly. Look at the things that you're doing for yourself. Look at it. I mean, since I've known you, I've watched you go from being a phenomenal web designer who created the first interactive sites that got awards because you were so good at it, to becoming a teacher because you love these young people and you want to guide them into becoming more than they know they can be. You're giving so much to a population that's going to be the ones that make the laws in this country. So you can really pat yourself on the back because that was a massive shift. Going from this creative genius that you are and still are to wanting to help young people. It was very powerful. And you're still doing it.
Well, it's a calling.
Yeah, it's a calling. It's your soul calling. All right? Because no matter what is happening around you, the depths of you is what's most important. And that's one of the great things that I get to do is talk to the other side of the veil. And sometimes I have to balance out the limited reality that I live in here. That's beautiful, and I love it, and I love the experience.
Yeah, you're in Hawaii.
I mean, it is gorgeous, but I'm probably going to be saying goodbye in the next year to this beautiful place, and that's going to be hard because it is exquisite and it's beautiful. But I'm being called back. I'm being called, and I can't stop that from happening either, because I'm being called back for another reason. And I really. It was very interesting. A very highly intuitive woman that I've done a lot of workshops with. And I were on the phone and she says, we haven't even done a real work yet, have we, Jen? I said, no, it's coming. It's coming with the shift. It's coming. That's why I'm being called back home. And home is California for me.
Well, let's talk about some of the stuff like going on in the world and what's in the consciousness of somebody. I mean, it must be
a damaged child.
I'm looking at guys like Netanyahu, that he's okay starving. I mean, starving is the worst form of torture you can have, and especially for babies. What gets a person to be okay with that? And also, if I look at like guys like Christopher Columbus, I mean, he basically sicked flesh-eating dogs against toddlers. How does one get that mind frame that be so sick?
First of all, Jim, there are all kinds of beings on this planet. Not all of them are. We have reptilians on the planet. We have outer galactic beings. We have non-emotional beings on the planet. So everything gets to exist here. Everything.
Yeah.
All right. So, and then when I look at an Israeli, well, a lot of them came from families who still are enraged as to what happened to their ancestors in Germany and Poland. and they
The
still have a lot. The
Holocaust.
Holocaust, lots of rage about that,
Hmm.
and with that rage comes a protection that is not normal. And actually, the other thing is our country is being run by a damaged toddler who was never bonded to his mother. He's a damaged toddler who never bonded to his mother.
I think several damaged toddlers.
And we have well, though they're followers, and they're followers. And he committed to being a part of the change that's needed on the planet. And so that's his role. All right. That's the role he's taking. And it's getting worse each day because the Supreme Court is now giving him more permission to do even more, which is even worse. Two decisions today just gave him more power to get in the way of birthright citizenship, which is tragic. All right. But it's what we're having to deal with here. And rather than run from it, and at first I thought, maybe I could leave the United States and go to another country. And I thought, no, my makeup is to stand and work through things, not run away from them. That's not my nature. I don't run away from situations. I run into them. And so that's why I decided I have to come back to California. California is going to be the cutting edge state in the United States that starts the change that's about to happen. And I need to be there because of that. Right?
What do you think is going to happen? What do you see happening?
Yeah. What's going to be happening is the United States is going to start pulling away from itself. In other words, we will not have a United States of America because we will not have a government controlling 50 states. And so California will be the leader in pulling away, and that will be happening in the next few years. And actually, good things are going to come from this because it's going to be a way shower for a lot of others, and what it's going to end up. Let's go back. Let's go to what is going to come from it, because that's what's really important. It's going to allow for people to gather with like-minded people in communities of like-mindedness that will grow because of the choosing that they have, and the assets are all shared. It's not about money exchange. It's about everybody equally giving and taking from their own skill set.
Well, it definitely benefit California because our taxes support so many of the red states. So, and I'm not saying, red.
We give a lot more than we take from the government.
But wouldn't we be prone to invasion from the mainstream nation of the United States?
Well, actually, if you have a nation that is pulling itself out of NATO and pulling itself out of other countries' support, and you're a state who is willing to go and do that and have nations behind you, no. Because there's going to be a universal collective that will be a part of, all right, that's going to involve many countries. And when you have a dictator who thinks they're more powerful than other countries, so they're pulling away from them, they're biting off their nose to spite their face. Because states can, behind their back, go and create all kinds of initiatives with other countries. Well, so that's not necessarily true.
Well, it seems like we're living in two countries. You got red
we are.
Blue states, and I think whoever made that concept really did a disservice because
they did. Because it's not really true.
We need to be one United States, and this media like Fox News and MSNBC, they just kind of separate the two.
You have two philosophies that are completely opposite each other. One is for big business and no tax on the rich, and let everybody else suffer, and the other is take care of everybody and help everyone. And so it's an interesting concept. I don't understand how a person could feel comfortable putting more money in their pocket and watching a child starve. I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me.
Doesn't work either.
And it's really tragic because if you look at the countries that we're having to help, we used to help feed. Our farmers were paid to help feed Sudan and all these countries that are in desperate need. And it's how they liked the United States. It's how we had rapport for the United States. Now that we're not doing it, we are losing rapport all over the world. In fact, now it's dangerous to go to a lot of places in the world as an American.
Yeah, it is.
It is. And so what is happening now is we're becoming a very small continent because of this pushing away from places with all this power mongering that's going on in the East Coast. However, the people are more powerful than that. All right. And there is a wave that is coming that's going to involve the people. And it is going to be what opens the door. And there's several perceptions out there and prophecies of what could happen. And it's not completely 100% decided. But I will say this, California is going to be on the cutting edge of it. Okay? They're going to be on the cutting edge of it. But they have others with them, not
Well, I think
alone.
Texas might be looking into this too. You know, they've always thought they call themselves a lone state, and I think they might be next too. But we'll see.
Well, the thing is, when you're being harmful to your own, and it's very interesting, fascinating. In Texas, one of their state senators found herself in a dangerous pregnancy with laws that won't allow her to get abortion. Right. So here we go. Okay, this is when it comes home to roost.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's I'd like to know what program they're putting into effect for that 12-year-old child who's molested or raped and gets pregnant and has to have a child and is incapable of a job to take care of that child. What services are they providing? They're taking away
nothing right now.
Nothing.
Nothing, right? Unless you come to California.
It's crazy. Or Hawaii. Hawaii's very good.
Or New York.
But you know what's interesting in Hawaii? They don't get abortions in Hawaii. This is very interesting. There's a lot of families that have men who can't produce, and they don't know why. But there's a lot of men here who actually cannot produce children, and there's always somebody in a family that takes the child, always. So there's not a problem with that, and I don't think there even is a Planned Parenthood on Kauai. I'm sure there is. There's Malama care, but they don't do abortions. So, but anyway, going back to the real philosophy, it's very painful. I have read many books that, but I've also read books that help me realize that we'll only get to a certain point before something comes in to help us. Right? We can only go so far down that path, that rabbit hole, before something surprising comes in. And I always trust my intuition, Jim. And it won't always give me the happening or the words, but it will give me the knowing. And the knowing always has a to it or a to it. All right? And when I look out at the future, I see a much better world here. But I will say this to you. They are going to create some massive climate crises that will shape up what's going on. Because when you have climate crises because you're going in the wrong direction, and that wakes everybody up because it affects so many people. And one major one is going to be in Florida, by the way.
Ultimately, we have to wake up to it. But the oligarchs, they want their money. They don't care.
Yeah, but what's really interesting is the area where you have the most amount of wealth is where it's going to get hit the hardest. California already had theirs down in Southern California, but we have more coming out. It's the East Coast that's going to get hit hard.
Yeah, well, well, keep our fingers crossed against that. But
what I want to say to people out there is believe in something greater than what you're witnessing, and please don't. I mean, I still go back all the time to that time I had that entity come into me in 1980s, and she said, if you know your own truth inside, you won't get caught in a whirlpool of illusion. But you got to know what you're made of, and you got to follow what's in here and not what's out here.
Right.
Words. So that means meditate, pray. All right, gather people to you of like minds. Don't try to change anyone else. Just gather the ones who you don't have to change. But gather the ones to you. Create little table talks of solutions. Instead of problem talking, do solution talking. All right, start masterminding of solutions in communities. It has to start in individual communities for shifts to take place in larger places. Starts at home, right where you are.
And those are very wise words by Miss Jan Venturini. We only got about a minute left, and I have to say that this is a very valuable session again. And I definitely thank you very much for your insight. And I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed, But I do have a very, very, very strong feeling that the tides are going to be turning.
Yeah.
May
Yeah.
not be to the United States' best, and that may not be what the current system, the current people are governing the country, may not be what they want to hear, but it may be best overall for all of us.
Do you remember that song, We Are the World, We Are the Children?
The what?
We are the world.
Oh yeah, we
We
are.
are the children.
Of course.
With people of all singers of all colors singing it, holding hands. I always don't cry when I watch that.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's, to me, I think the United States is where it has to happen, because we have the people from all over the world here. And it's the people from all over the world that are going to change the world.
Yeah.
That's where it has to happen.
Mm-hmm. And I don't see good happenings in the Middle East too, but I don't want to speculate, but I just hope that the Palestinians will persevere, and
They're strong people.
they're strong people. I don't think
they're amazing. A woman in the Gaza Strip with a goat can help her whole family survive on a goat. One goat. Just one goat.
She shouldn't have to. She should not have to.
No, she shouldn't.
And
but she can do it.
I know, but at the same time, she shouldn't have to. And where is the empathy? Where's the compassion? Where's the humanity? When you see,
well, that is the whole key. Is I told you sometimes I'd like to tap in to the Koch brother just to see how he's suffering over there, trying to get his brother's attention, because he has to go through the pain of feeling all the harm he did to so many families in his greed. And it's painful because he's got to witness all of that.
Wow.
He has to witness every person harmed because of their ways with taking from people.
You might be talking to Rupert Murdoch pretty soon.
I know.
Oh boy, he's getting close. He's
yeah. Because you have to look at it all. You see your whole life, good, bad, and indifferent. Mm-hmm. You see all of it.
All right, Jan, I thank you so much. And
You're welcome.
This was fantastic. All right, everybody, truth-seeking souls, until we talk again, this is Jim Haig. Great session.